Alright, y'all, I just want to talk to y'all about something real quick. Y'all ready? Let's go.
I came to vibe, you came to function, just do that, baby. Don't worry about nothing, no, 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 no. I came to vibe, you came to function, just do that, baby. Don't worry about nothing, no, no, no.
What's good, y'all? It's your boy Bright here, the R&B kid. I'm back again with another video for y'all. I know I've been gone for a minute, y'all, but as y'all know, I'm back in grad school, so you know, working full-time and going to grad school part-time, I barely have enough time to sit down and make a video these days. But I have some time today, so I actually want to bust out 2 videos for y'all. This is the first one I want to do. But like I said, as you can see from the title, I just been having some thoughts that I want to express to y'all, just kind of see how y'all feel, if y'all felt these same things. But all in all, I'm just in this weird space where I'm not exactly like depressed or like sad over music right now. I'm not like in a rebellious, so I don't feel like I want to like punch people out over how whack music is these days. But I've just been in this space where I feel like there's plenty of good music rotating around, especially, you know, underground music these days, but especially when it comes to mainstream music. I just feel like I'm like falling out of love with mainstream music. I don't know how to describe it. It's weird because I still listen to plenty of mainstream music and I enjoy like what I've been hearing for the most part, whether, you know, from R&B to pop to hip-hop even. There's definitely plenty of songs and albums I'm enjoying, but I just feel like I think the combination of so much music coming out, along with the fact that I feel like music just doesn't feel as fun as it used to feel back in the day, is just making me feel like just kind of sad as to where I feel like the music industry is right now, the space that it's in right now, and also just how the music that consumers are getting on a regular basis. I think something that kind of made me think about this was the fact that, I don't know if y'all seen recently on the recent Joe Budden podcast episode, I forgot what number it was, where they were talking about, I think Joe, he said like, you know, call this hot take if you want. He was like, this might be a hot take, but I feel like we're gonna see a lot of our favorite like artists retiring, like, you know, by latest 2021. And when he said that, I was like, damn, I never thought about that, but I could totally see it happening. Because we're in a space right now where I feel like we're gonna see a lot of our veterans, like, you know, the Rihanna, the Jay-Z's, the Beyonce's, like all, you know, the Kanye's, like that you know, that group of artists who are really killing it in the 2000s and into this decade. I feel like we're gonna see a lot of them kind of just being like, you know what, I'm good. I made my money, I've made my mark, but I'm kind of good. And I think the reason why a lot of them are good is because the music industry is in, I feel like, one of the weirdest places it's ever been in, where streaming, with streaming not having taken over everything, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors going on. There's a lot of fumbling of the numbers. There's a lot of, you know, technical, political bullshit going on behind the scenes. So I could definitely see how it's just not become fun. And I mean, I guess the music industry was never really fun at the end of the day, but at least I feel like back in the day there was always bullshit, but people were actually making real money and people were allowed to really be, for the most part, I feel like artists these days have way more ability to have, you know, a lot of creative control over their music, but that doesn't necessarily mean the music has been better. It's interesting because I feel like back in the day, like when I was growing up in the 90s and 2000s, I definitely feel like artists were kind of like pigeonholed into what they could release. I definitely feel like the A&Rs and the music execs had much more of a stronger hold over like what the fuck artists could do and like and what they were allowed to put out. But at the end of the day, even if artists were kind of putting out songs and albums that they weren't exactly that invested in, I just feel like music back in the day was just so much more fun. I feel like we're missing, and just so much more original and creative, you know. People used to just kind of do shit on records that like, you know, when I think of people like Prince and Michael Jackson and when I think of all the people who just killed like the 90s and the 2000s, I just think of vocals. I just think of like, you know, like powerful vocals, creative vocals, like fun beats, weird beats, you know, Timbaland, Swiss beats. When I just think back to a whole generation of artists who were just making fun ass music that, you know, Ludacris, Nelly, like, I just feel like we're in a time period right now where artists, I feel like they're able to have more of a control over their careers, which is beautiful. I think that's a beautiful thing, especially, you know, for the younger artists who hopefully in the coming years won't be afraid to experiment. It's good that I feel like artists have more creative control than I feel like they used to have back in the day, but at the same time, it just feels like everybody is on a repetitive ass wave. Everybody's riding trends, and no one is really, not no one, but it seems like a lot of artists are just not trying their best to just stand the fuck out. It seems like standing the fuck out used to be like the cheat code back in the day to really blow up. But it seems like these days standing the fuck out is like seen as an L, and it's seen as a way to not progress in your career because you won't make it far. And in some cases I think that's true, because that's what's we've seen that time and time again. But I think it's sad that we've kind of placed ourselves in a time in musical history where we're not rewarding the artists who really break out and just do some creative different shit, whether it's like the way they're singing or the beat they chose or the way they perform. And even I actually wanted to make, I thought about making a video about this years ago. I mean, like a long time ago when I first started my YouTube channel. I haven't made it yet, but I might make it one day. But I actually do want to kind of make a video dedicated to how I think there's been like a definite like decline in, I think, like live performance standards for like all artists in the industry these days. I just remember being a kid and like when I would, you know, watch SNL or watch Mad TV or whatever the fuck, when I watch like, you know, the GMA, you know, whenever you see artists performing, you know, MTV, whenever you see TRL, Warner Season Park, whenever you see artists performing on TV, I just feel like you used to be actually entertained. But I feel like these days it's like these artists just go up in there, their inner ear is fucked up, they're not giving you the charisma like that, they just standing around kind of letting their musicians and their background dancers and singers do like most of the work for them while they're just standing there looking cute, because they know they got clout from a hit. But at the end of the day, their performance charisma and their live performance strategy is not really there like that. So I think that kind of ties into the fact that I feel like as a whole, music is just it's been on a real decline. I don't want to make this video too depressing, because, you know, on the bright side, like I said, there's plenty of amazing music that's been dropping, but I feel like most of it has been relegated to the background, you know. So this video is not to really say that there's like no good music coming out these days, because that's not the truth. There's plenty of great music coming out these days, but in terms, I'm just making this video mostly for the music that's in the mainstream, music that's on the charts, the music that's really out there getting love. I'm getting tired of the repetitive trend hopping and trend riding wave that we're on right now, and I just feel like I just miss music, man. It just feels like music ain't the same. I want to take y'all back to a few years that to me will just always, like, I don't know, maybe it's because I grew up during these years, but also I just feel like these are some of the best years in music. And when I think of how good music can be, mind you, I didn't grow up in the, you know, the 60s, 70s, 80s, you know, but still, and I know music was amazing around that time too. But I have a personal connection to the music from not only the late 90s, but I want to put a special emphasis and focus on the years of, I want to say 2001 to 2006. Especially like 2003, 4, and 5, like those years in particular. I always say one of my favorite years in music, hands down, was 2004. If you go back to the year 2004, oh my god, I was in freaking like 4th, 5th grade around that time. But all the music that was dropping around that time, and mind you, if you look at the #1 songs from that whole year, 2004, it was all R&B and hip hop songs. And that's not even like why I'm excited about that year in general, but I mean, that was a good point, you know. Shout out to my people, you know, my people doing the thing on the charts, you know what I'm saying? We was killing it back then. Fuck! 2003 to 2005, it was all R&B and hip-hop on the charts. We were killing that era. Woo! That was a good time. But when I just think back to that time, not only because it was like R&B and hip-hop music at the forefront, but if you go back to that time, it was like music was just so much fun. Like, I don't know, like, it just felt so carefree. It didn't feel like artists were like, I mean, for example, so trend writing has always been a thing. For example, the crunk era, right? I remember like 2003, the crunk era was kind of just starting with Lil Jon and the East Side Boys kind of just starting it out, but it wasn't really a big wave. And then all of a sudden, Usher recorded and put out Yeah. And then Sierra put out Goodies, and then there were a couple of other artists on that type of wave, and all of a sudden Crunk and B became like a big wave back in like 2004, 2005. So that was an era where we did see trend writing, but at the same time, everybody still had their own little pocket of it, and everybody kind of like made it their own. Usher made his own version of Crunk and B, Sierra made her own version of Crunk and B, and just, you know, every artist, even if they were hopping a trend and they were writing a trend, they still made it their own. Because they still had their own artistic identity. But I feel like we're we're in a time now where the one thing I do like about this time is the fact that we're kind of seeing genres bleed into each other. We're kind of seeing genres like really, like the walls of genres really break down, and we're not really pigeonholing artists to certain genres. Example of that is artists like Lizzo and Lil Nas X, which I think is beautiful. And they, to me, have been like the staples of 2019 music and how genreless this year has been, which has been great. But at the same time, I also just get this feeling like, you know, on a general basis, we're just seeing music almost seems like for a lot of artists that's becoming just like this responsibility and this like schedule. Like, okay, I gotta put out this single, then I gotta put that single, then I gotta put this single, then I gotta put that video, then I gotta make this video, then I gotta do that performance, then I gotta do this interview. It just seems like, I mean, the music industry is a business at the end of the day, so I know that, but it's like, I feel like growing up when I was a kid, you, like, as a consumer, you never felt like the music industry was a business, because you were always just hearing jams on the radio. You were seeing your favorite artists perform on TV and they were killing it with energy, charisma, you know, and you could never tell that they were going through all this bullshit behind the scenes. And that's not even the point of this video, but I just feel like these days, I love that we're seeing so much, we're having more transparency with our artists. Like, you know, social media allows us to kind of reach our artists more, and we're in a day and age now where we're not really blind to a lot of the bullshit that goes on behind the scenes. Like, we're aware of the artists who are going through mental health struggles. We're aware of artists who are going through bullshit with their contracts and their deals. And we're aware of artists who are just, like, you know, who are struggling, whether it's, you know, struggling to get on the charts or struggling to really, like, you know, just get, you know, have their career popping. I like that we're more invited to the behind the scenes dynamics of the music industry and they're just the entertainment industry at large, you know. But at the same time, you would think that we be in somewhat of a golden era of music because of that. But at the end of the day, I think musically, I feel like we've been struggling to really have a lot of timeless and classic music out there. I don't know if y'all feel what I'm saying. Let me know if y'all feel like I'm bugging, if I feel like I'm just being too pessimistic, or if I'm just like, I'm just being negative. Let me know. Like I said earlier in the video, I don't think there's plenty of great music being dropped, especially from underground and more, you know, less mainstream artists. But when I think of, like, you know, the mainstream circles, I just feel like I've been very like disappointed, and I feel like the lack of fun, carefree, and just classic and timeless vibes that I feel like I grew up on, you know. And now I'm talking about all genres, from R&B, hip hop, and pop. Like, all genres were just on a crazy wave back in the day, where I felt like everybody was just in their bag, just creating amazing songs, creating timeless classic albums. Where I feel like there wasn't a lot of thought and a lot of calculations being put into how to put out music. Artists would just, you know, record their albums, record their songs, you know, get on a promo run and just promote their shit. But it feels like these days artists are dropping their projects like that. If their project comes out and flops, it's like, okay, boom, on to the next project. And you're letting potentially amazing songs go because they didn't really hit at first. I think Lizzo's Truth Hurts is a great example of what I think a lot of artists are just not doing enough of these days. If Lizzo and her team had given up on Truth Hurts, it would not be one of the biggest songs of the year so far. That song came out back in 2017. I never heard it back in the day because I wasn't really up on Lizzo back in the day. But I watched the Netflix movie Someone Great, and that was my introduction to that song. But when I heard that song, I was like, yo, this track is crazy. But I was like, why did I never heard this? But if I had never, if for some reason the producers of that movie had never decided to put Truth Hurts in that movie, or, you know, if it just never got that look, it probably wouldn't have blown. But I'm glad that, you know, Lizzo and her team really stuck through and were finding ways to plug that song in different ways, and they finally found a gold mine by putting it in Someone Great, the Netflix movie. But I feel like that's a great example of, like, artists who I feel like are just not putting enough effort into trying to find creative ways to promote their shit. I'm tired of seeing a lot of my favorite artists drop the ball on their great songs and albums because they don't exactly hit at first. And we're seeing a lot of artists who are, I'm not gonna name them, but we're seeing a lot of artists who are finding continual success with, like, mediocre music. And at the end of the day, it's expected, because once you kind of grab, you know, a hit or two or three, you've made a name for yourself. But at the end of the day, that doesn't mean your music is amazing. That just means you have a lot of clout behind you. And there's an artist I'm thinking of right now who I don't want to name because I actually fuck with him and I fuck with a lot of his music, but I'm thinking of him right now. I'll give you a hint. He recently dropped an album. That should probably tell you what I'm thinking about. And he's a great artist and I fuck with him the long way. But at the end of the day, his music is cool, but with the numbers he's showing you, with the way he's on the charts constantly, #1 after #1 single album, you would think he's like, you know, changing the game. And while his music is enjoyable for the most part, I enjoy plenty of his songs. Hopefully you know what I'm talking about. I just feel like there's a lot of other artists who like deserve to be where he's at, if not even doing better than he's doing. So I'm just tired of like seeing us being in this space where like we're continuing to promote and reward artists who are really just giving us, if not like mediocre content, at least content that's not bad, but shouldn't be put above content that's amazing that no one's really paying attention to. So at the end of the day, there's a lot of complexity behind this issue when it comes to, you know, money, promoting and branding, and just overall, you know, awareness of, you know, of GP with different types of artists. So there's a lot that goes into this, but at the end of the day, I just want to make this video because I feel like I have to get this off, and I want to let y'all know that I've just been in this space where I'm just really disappointed in mainstream music in general. I think 2019 has been a really weak year for music. There have been gems that have come through as always, but I think this year has just been really weak. And not only this year, I just think in the past couple of years, I mean, I'm not going to say this in the past couple of years. I'm going to say this whole decade, really. I just feel like this whole decade, I don't know, the music industry really turned to being just all about the money. And, you know, at the end of the day, I feel like the money was always important in the 90s, you know, when the music industry first started up until the 2000s. The money was always at the center of everything, but quality was still being made, and labels were always making sure that they were putting out quality records, quality albums, you know? If you look at the Grammys from, you know, the past decades, you'll see the quality, the best of general, the best of every year. I just feel like, you know, if you just look at this whole past decade, I just feel like, besides the obvious great albums and songs that have been released, the obvious great ones, there's always good music being put out. But I just feel like in general, we've seen a great decline and in the overall quality of mainstream music, and it's really made me sad and disappointed. I think the best way to describe it is, like I said before, when I think back to those years from like 2001 2006, I just remember being a kid and how fun music used to feel, like going to my school dances and just on radio, like you would just, all these songs just used to feel so fun. And they still sound so, all the songs that came out back in that time period, they still sound so fresh until today. But it just seems like a lot of the songs coming out now, even if they're hits, I don't know if they'll sound fresh and timeless and classic 20-30 years from now. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know if that's the case. I think to me that's like the biggest marker for why I made this video, is a lot of the songs that are coming out today, when I'm like, you know, when I'm 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, are they gonna sound, am I gonna tell my kids like, yo, this is the shit back when I was young? Like, am I gonna feel like these songs are amazing? Am I gonna feel like they were trash and I can't believe we rocked out to these songs? Like, you know, good music, at the end of the day, on the bright side, guys, good music will always stick around, and good music will always be able to get filtered out from the bullshit. You know, at the end of the day, in the long run, the good music will always stick around. So that's why I'm actually hopeful in terms of getting older and just, you know, seeing where music history goes, because the good stuff will always stick around. We'll always take note of what was best every era. So that's the good part. But just in terms of like our current, you know, current living in this time period, in this era of music right now, currently living in it, I just feel like I'm just so over, I feel like the lack of quality and the lack of care that's being put into a lot of the mainstream music that's being put out there, you know? I feel bad for a lot of the kids who I feel like are just not being given real music and real musicality, you know what I'm saying? Like these days, we don't have real instruments on records as much as we used to. Everything is so digitized, everything is so repetitive, everybody's on the same like vibey wave, and you know, and no one is really coming out and saying, yo, I'm gonna come up with a whole new sound, I'm gonna come up with a whole new wave. A lot of people are trying to, but they're not really, you know, making any progress, you know? I think of people like Missy Elliott and Timbaland and Fergie and I don't know, just all the R&B and hip hop artists who were just doing their thing in the early 2000s, like, you know, like I said before, the Ludacris's and the Nellys, and you know, all those people who were just creating such fun, dope music. And then for the regular artists like the Beyoncés and the Alicia Keys and the 50 Cents and the, like, all those people who were just making regular R&B, regular hip hop, but it was just dope and timeless and classic. I just feel like we're not getting that these days, you know what I'm saying? Music, at the end of the day, everything knocks, everything's a bang, everything's a vibe. but when we're like 50 years old, are we really gonna feel the same way we felt about these songs now? So yeah, that's pretty much my whole spiel. Let me know what y'all think about my thoughts on this. Let me know if y'all feeling the same way I'm feeling. Let me know if I'm bugging, if I'm just doing too much, if I'm being negative as hell. Let me know. I really been feeling this in my spirit for a while, so I wanted to get it off and just, you know, make a video about it and talk to y'all about it. But let me know what y'all think. Let me know if you feel the same way or if you feel completely different. If you, I respect anybody's opinion. If you feel like I'm right, let me know why. If you feel like I'm completely wrong and I'm bugging, you know, bring me back down to earth and let me know why I'm bugging. Like I said, there's plenty of amazing music being put out, so that's not what I'm saying. But I just feel like in general, mainstream music is just not where I feel like I would hope it be at this time in our lives. You know what I'm saying? So that's just where I stand with it. But let me know what y'all think, man. Appreciate y'all. If y'all haven't already, I hope you watched this whole video. If you did, please click that like button, share this video, and subscribe to my channel, okay? Appreciate y'all. And like I always say, guys, live your best life, drink more water, stay woke. And if you're mad or sad, go listen to your favorite song, make you feel better, okay? Alright, y'all, so I'm about to be done with this video. Actually, so hopefully it'll make you feel better. I'm actually about to do a reaction to the new Brandy song after this, so maybe that'll make you feel a little bit better, alright? Alright, y'all, but this has been your boy Bright, the R&B kid. Thank you for watching, but for now, I'm signing off, baby. Bye, y'all. Peace.
I came to vibe, you came to function, just do that, baby. Don't worry about nothing, no, 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 no. I came to vibe, you came to function, just do that, baby. Don't worry about nothing, no, no, no. Relax just a little bit. You don't gotta worry, you can just have fun.